The Geography of Crime, Exploring Spatial Distribution and Environmental Criminology. The Geography of Crime is a book that explores how and why crimes happen in certain places. By combining ideas from criminology, the study of crime, and geography, the study of places, it examines how location influences criminal behavior. The book looks at factors like poverty, culture, city layouts, and government policies to explain why some areas have more crime than others. It also introduces tools like crime maps and high-tech software, such as Geographic Information Systems, GIS, that help police and researchers track crime hotspots and predict where offenses might occur. Theories like environmental criminology and routine activity theory explain how people's daily routines and neighborhood conditions affect crime rates. The book covers different types of crimes, from theft and violence to cybercrime and hate crimes, and compares crime patterns in India with global trends. This helps readers understand both local and worldwide crime issues. Overall, this book is useful for crime researchers, city planners, policymakers, and law enforcement agencies. It provides practical strategies to make communities safer by using geography-based insights to prevent crime and create fairer societies. Whether you are a student, professional, or just curious about crime patterns, this book offers clear explanations and real-world solutions. Chapter 1. Introduction to Geography of Crime. Crime doesn't happen randomly, it follows patterns influenced by where people live, work, and interact. The Geography of Crime studies how location, environment, and social factors like poverty or unemployment affect criminal behavior. By mapping crime hotspots using tools like GIS, researchers and law enforcement can better understand where and why crime occurs. The study also considers how urban design, community cohesion, and policing strategies impact safety. Factors such as poor lighting, abandoned buildings, or high population density can invite crime, while strong communities and smart urban planning can help prevent it. In India and globally, crime is also shaped by cultural, economic, and technological changes. Understanding these patterns helps cities become safer by guiding better policies, law enforcement actions, and community engagement. This approach not only fights crime but also addresses the root causes behind it. Chapter 2. Theoretical perspectives on crime and methodological approaches to research. This chapter explores how crime is connected to where and how people live. It explains that crime doesn't happen randomly. It often concentrates in specific places due to social and environmental factors. Three key theories are discussed. Social disorganization theory. Crime is more common where communities are less connected. Routine activity theory. Crime occurs when a motivated person meets a target without protection. And crime pattern theory. Crime follows patterns linked to people's movement and surroundings. The chapter also looks at how data, like maps, surveys, and reports, helps researchers and police understand and prevent crime. Modern tools like crime mapping and hotspot analysis allow authorities to target high-risk areas more effectively. Ethical concerns such as privacy and consent are important in this type of research. In short, understanding crime through a geographical lens can lead to smarter prevention strategies and safer communities. Chapter 3. Relationship of crime occurrences. This chapter explores how crime is connected to population growth, urbanization, education, gender balance, employment, and land use. It shows that crowded cities with rapid population increases and unequal job opportunities often face more crime. High male-to-female ratios and low literacy levels also contribute to increased violence and theft. On the other hand, communities with better education and more job opportunities generally experience fewer crimes. Urban planning and how land is used for homes, businesses, or factories can affect crime levels. For example, poorly lit parks or crowded industrial areas may attract criminal activity. The chapter stresses that understanding these patterns helps make better policies to reduce crime and improve safety. It also highlights the importance of cooperation between communities, researchers, and governments to build safer environments by addressing the root causes of crime, such as poverty, unemployment, and poor infrastructure. Smart planning and inclusive policies can make a significant difference. Chapter 4. Concentration of crimes. This chapter explains how crime tends to cluster in certain places, times, and among specific people rather than spreading randomly. These hotspots often appear in areas with poverty, poor infrastructure, and weak community ties. Factors like social exclusion, unemployment, and abandoned buildings can create environments where crime thrives. Crime also changes with time. It can rise during weekends, evenings, or certain seasons like summer. Events such as festivals, economic downturns, and even natural disasters can lead to short-term spikes in crime. Law enforcement practices also influence when and where crime happens. Understanding these patterns helps police and policymakers make better decisions about where to focus resources and how to prevent crime. By studying when and where crimes are most likely to occur, cities can plan smarter patrols, improve lighting in risky areas, and organize community programs. This helps create safer neighborhoods by addressing the root causes and timing of criminal activity. Chapter 5. Crime and place. This chapter explores how crime is closely tied to specific places and times. Crime doesn't happen randomly. It often clusters in certain neighborhoods, streets, or even buildings, especially in areas with poverty, poor infrastructure, or social unrest. Using maps and data, researchers can identify these hotspots to help police focus efforts where they're needed most. Crime also follows patterns by time of day, day of the week, and season. For example, violent crimes often happen at night or on weekends. Understanding where and when crimes occur helps cities design smarter strategies, like better lighting, more patrols, and community programs, to prevent them. By combining place-based insights with timing, we can make communities safer and more resilient. Chapter 6. Urbanization and crime. This chapter explores how urbanization, when more people move into cities, affects crime. As cities grow quickly, issues like overcrowding, poverty, and weak infrastructure can lead to more theft, violence, and social unrest. Certain neighborhoods become crime hotspots, especially where planning is poor and services are lacking. Crime tends to cluster in places with few job opportunities and low education levels. The chapter discusses how different parts of a city experience crime differently and how urban layout influences this. It also looks at how better planning, improved lighting, and community involvement can reduce crime. Understanding how city growth and design relate to crime helps us create safer, more inclusive, and better managed urban environments for everyone. Chapter 7. Crime in public spaces and residential areas. This chapter discusses how crime happens in everyday places like streets, parks, schools, and shopping areas, and how these environments can be made safer. It explains that poor lighting, overcrowding, and lack of security often lead to more theft, violence, and vandalism. In contrast, well-designed spaces with good lighting, surveillance cameras, and active communities can help prevent crime. The chapter also looks at the role of technology, such as CCTV, GPS tracking, and predictive policing, in stopping crimes before they happen. Strong community involvement, thoughtful urban planning, and fair law enforcement are key to creating safe neighborhoods. The goal is to design public and residential spaces where people feel secure and connected to one another. Chapter 8. Crime and social inequality. This chapter explores how social inequality, differences in income, education, race, and access to opportunities can lead to higher crime rates. When people feel left out or unfairly treated, they may turn to crime out of frustration or need. Poor communities often face more violence and theft due to lack of jobs, weak education, and limited social support. The chapter also shows how racial and gender discrimination contribute to crime by creating unfair systems. Even where you live can influence your safety, with certain areas suffering more due to poor infrastructure or segregation. The chapter calls for fairer policies in education, employment, and social services to reduce inequality and help build safer, more equal societies. Chapter 9. Crime and globalization. Globalization has transformed crime, making it more interconnected across borders. While some argue it reduces crime through better cooperation and awareness, others highlight its role in enabling drug trafficking, human trafficking, cybercrime, and terrorism. Criminal networks exploit globalization to expand operations, using technology and weak enforcement to evade detection. Transnational crimes like money laundering and wildlife trafficking threaten global security, economies, and ecosystems. Combating these challenges requires international cooperation, stronger law enforcement, and innovative strategies like financial disruption and targeted interventions. Terrorism, fueled by political, economic, and social factors, remains a major security concern, demanding adaptive counter-terrorism measures. Addressing these issues calls for unified global efforts to disrupt criminal networks and tackle root causes like inequality and corruption. Chapter 10. Crime and Public Policy. This chapter explores the relationship between crime and public policy, focusing on strategies to prevent crime and enhance community safety. It highlights approaches like situational crime prevention, which modifies environments to deter criminal activity, and community policing, which builds trust between law enforcement and residents. Early intervention programs for at-risk youth and the role of punishment in deterring crime are also discussed. The chapter examines policing methods such as hotspot policing and intelligence-led policing, emphasizing their effectiveness in reducing crime while addressing challenges like racial disparities and privacy concerns. Additionally, it analyzes the impact of incarceration on recidivism and societal inequality, advocating for balanced policies that combine punishment with rehabilitation and social support for long-term crime reduction. Chapter 11. The Future of Crime Geography, Trends, Challenges, and Solutions. This chapter examines how crime is evolving in the 21st century, driven by technology and globalization. Cybercrime, such as hacking and online fraud, and transnational crimes like human trafficking and drug smuggling, are growing threats. Law enforcement faces challenges in tracking these crimes due to their borderless nature and advanced tools like AI and cryptocurrencies used by criminals. The chapter also explores how technology, including predictive policing and drones, is transforming crime mapping but raises ethical concerns about privacy and bias. Policy innovations emphasize community involvement and addressing systemic inequalities to create fairer crime prevention strategies. Balancing security with civil liberties remains critical as new technologies and global cooperation shape the future of crime prevention and public safety. Conclusion. This conclusion highlights how crime geography is evolving with technology and societal changes. It emphasizes the need for future research on urban crime patterns, cybercrime, climate change impacts, and ethical AI use in crime prediction. The chapter calls for collaborative crime prevention, involving communities, policymakers, and global knowledge sharing to address root causes like poverty and inequality. By integrating geospatial tools and interdisciplinary approaches, crime geography can help create safer, more equitable communities. The future of the field lies in adapting to new trends, leveraging technology responsibly, and ensuring policies are both effective and just. Ultimately, understanding the spatial and social dimensions of crime is key to shaping proactive and fair prevention strategies. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel BP International to watch more videos in the fields of science, technology and medicine.